Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Bald Avenger Show. I am Jason Sisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the tattooed guru, the purveyor of all things common sense, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend, Tina, in my own mind, okay? In my own mind. I always have to throw that piece in there. So people don't think I'm too egotistical, right? But y'all are in for a good show tonight. I just want to say thank you to nourish.me, NURISH.me, the greatest anti-inflammatory product ever created in the history of mankind, for sponsoring the show. And if you guys go there and you get that product for yourself, any aches and pains and anything you might have going on, nourish, NURISH.me, and use the code MISFIT25 and you'll get a 25% discount. So thank you to Nourish Me for sponsoring the show. Also Anton J, Global, as usual, the greatest consulting company ever created, because it's mine. And I created it. So anybody that's looking for help with their small business during this period of time, and you want to stand up and retain your independent access to capital, that's the place to go. We help good people make more money, get more time so they can do more good. So that's all the advertisement for the evening, Tina. Now to get into you. I'm so excited about our conversation this evening because if those of you that have been listening to the show for a very long time know and understand that this is a challenging time in our history, which is great for those of us. Like, there's lots of opportunity that's embedded in times of tumultuous upheaval in the way that people are doing things. There's a lot of opportunity for us. A lot of people get stressed out. We want it to be the way it was. There's one constant in the universe, and that is called change. How you embrace it, how you flow with it, is definitely going to define the next 5 years, decade of your life. And where you stand in times like this, where our freedom is being challenged, where literally our choice, our voice, the document that our country is built on is being challenged, and how you stand up and show up is very important. And, you know, one thing that I keep coming back to is it's not that it's centered around one leader. This is not a Donald Trump revolution, right? This is an individual liberty and independence revolution where we're standing up and we're saying the leaders are the members of our community, right? I just posted something from General Flynn. He said it that when I interviewed him on the show about a month ago. He said that it's local, right? The local activity creates national impact. And we as a generation have given over our civic duty and abdicated it to some people who haven't guarded liberty and guarded freedom. What they've done is they've absorbed that for themselves. They've set laws, you know, that they don't have to follow, to the rest of us do, that sort of thing. And so so I have driven the point home that it's us, it's you watching, it's you listening to this on whatever channel you may find this, that it's us to stand up with whatever we have in our situation, and to retain that for our generation, to hand that off to our children, to not be the first generation in history to hand off a worse world than we started in, right? That's the siren call for all of us. And tonight is no different. Somebody that I'm proud to introduce to you. We're going to get into our relationship and what I'm going to be doing with her here in the future. But I want to introduce to you Tina Horlocker. And, you know, of the things that you were telling me, I want her to talk a little bit about her story, but she's got a master's degree and she's working on her doctorate. But the thing that blows me away is that she's got 10 children and still working her tail off in the preservation of liberty and freedom, right? You are the epitome of what I've been talking about, standing up where you are with what you have and doing the best you can. And so I would like to introduce you to Misfit Nation. That is the group that follows this show, and let you talk a little bit about yourself and what has driven you to create the event that we're going to be talking about this evening.
Well, thank you so much, Jason, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here. And where does my journey begin? My journey begins as a teenager, I remember my father teaching me about the importance of freedom and the responsibility we have to maintain our freedoms. And I remember actually praying as a teenager that I could do something, that I could somehow play a part in helping to preserve our freedom. And I don't want to sound like I've done a lot, but I have been diligent in educating myself and trying to educate others around me, including my own children, and especially in the subject of, well, to me, I believe it's all one subject. It's all encompassing. You can't really separate it. But the idea of being a free man and what that entails. And it does require work. We really are so easily willing to source out things. And, and we do like our convenience, but we have to get used to the idea that we need to be self-reliant. We need to seek for our freedom. We need to do things to be active in our communities. And so I've tried to do that. I've taught the youth at all different ages. I've even taught at the college level these same ideas, even adults. But I've also served in the community. I have served in the Republican Party for many years as a chair of a county, Davis County Republican Party, and also on the State Central Committee. And we worked really hard to preserve an election system that allowed us to vet our candidates so that we could get the most conservative candidate to the ballot, rather than having candidates just go gather signatures so that they could get on the ballot. And we would have some wins, and then our wins would be turned into losses. And we finally figured out we're not going to have success in the party. So we went outside the party. I'm with General Flynn when he says, don't give your money to the Republican Party. I still serve in the Republican Party. I believe in the platform. I believe in the ideals of the party, but I don't believe in the party anymore. I think we have to totally clean house, and in the whole cleaning of the house, when you deep clean your house, the house gets messier before it gets cleaner. And I don't know if the Republican Party is ever going to recover from this, but the ideals are still the same. And so we've done a lot to find and search out candidates that really are the kind of the wise and the knowledgeable candidates that are going to hold to their principles, and they are so hard to find. So that's really been.
Let's talk about that for a minute, Tina. Let's talk about why that is, right? And I have questioned this very subject because, like you said, Republican Party. I'm a libertarian, sort of by trade, and I fall a little bit liberal on some things and a little bit, conservative on some other things, but mainly just leave us the hell alone, right? You do your job. And as I've said many times on the show, that it was the original intent was that it was supposed to be a sacrifice to serve. And then you would set no laws against yourself and then go back to private life. And that would be the cycle. You would find the best of the best that would rise to the top and serve their time and then go back to their communities. And the only reason why they would be subject to being servants is because they were selfless at the very core, right? Selfless to sacrifice for their country, to go and do good things, advance the country as a whole, our security and our liberty, for us to be able to be self-determinative as an individual. And what that's turned into is a bunch of people that call themselves Republicans, Democrats, that are really just elites, right? They have crowned themselves kings and queens that know better than the rest of us. And us peasants just need to get in line and be subservient and be quiet. And a large portion of this country has listened, Tina.
Yeah, it does have to do still with the whole idea, just lateness, just apathy in understanding how important it is to elect good and wise men and women to political office, and then to watch them, to carefully guard your freedoms. John Adams said, you're supposed to watch your elected officials with the jealous regard for your freedoms. You're supposed to be aware of what they're doing. And that takes work. So, a lot of people just feel like their lives are too busy. They don't have time for that kind of thing. And I mean, we could talk about this ad nauseum, but really, I have found, because we've found good candidates and they get into office and they switch, or they're there for a little bit of time and they begin to get comfortable. They make friends with those powerful people. They begin to soften their stances. They begin to protect their reputation. They tend to be more careful and courageous, and they lose those ideals. They forget what get them there. And there's just so few. There's
Power
so
is intoxicating, isn't
it
it,
is
Tina? Power is
intoxicating.
intoxicating and influence. I
And
mean,
power also centralizes.
yes.
So that's one of the dangers, is when we ask government to do things for us, they're happy to do it.
Yeah, they are. And again, we're big fans in Misfit Nation and in this show and my own life of decentralization. Right.
Absolutely.
And, we talked a little bit about the company clearunited.com, Misfit Nation, if you want to join our team, but that is all about decentralizing that power, giving privacy back to the citizen and, and driving that forward. So I want to stay focused though on this project that you put together, and it's October 22nd, 23rd. Just so everybody in Misfit Nation knows and understands, Tina has invited me to come and share the stage. You're going to have General Flynn. You've got some Lee Dundas, who's one of my,
Yeah.
that's who
Oh,
kind of
lovely.
connected us.
Yes, she's so awesome.
Amazing freedom fighters that are out there. And it's comprised of people. I looked at the rest of the list of the people that are going to be speaking those 2 days. And these are the people who are saying, what I did yesterday doesn't matter. What is happening today does, and I'm going to fight for that, for the retention of freedom. So talk a little bit about the idea, and what you've done is you're expecting 10,000 patriots to come together around this event and show up in celebration of retention of and restoring liberty, freedom, and sovereignty. Where did you get the idea first? And then secondly, I've put together events, Tina. Where the hell are you coming up with all of your energy to be able to do this?
Well, it has been quite a work, that's for sure. It's been a sacrifice, and I'm not making any money from it. And so it really has been, but it's a labor of love. I really believe in what I'm doing. And I mean, I don't see things changing if we don't do something different. And you talked about decentralizing power. The only way we can decentralize power is to take back our liberty. And
Yes.
the only way we can take back our liberty is to stand up for our freedom. So I see this event as something like that. I see this event as a huge opportunity to stand up and become more aware, to network with other people, to not feel alone, because a lot of times people standing up, there's certain places where I feel camaraderie and there are certain places where I feel more isolated. And I know people look at me like they're not quite sure what to think about me, And so it's a place where you can communicate with other people, but you can also hear from these individuals who are really out there fighting the fight. And, frankly, they're all just normal people. They're just people who are living their lives, just trying to hold on to the liberties that they love so that they can enjoy their lives. I don't know how many of us are really enjoying our freedoms right now because they're just being stomped on. So we just had this idea, especially as the election, well, first of all, COVID, the whole baloney with COVID. And I just want to say, I did not believe it from day one. I can remember being at the gym, watching Fox News, which I do never watch in my home, but I probably was still kind of watching Fox then. But I was in the gym and I was seeing this China virus, and the Fox commentators are starting to say, oh, it's coming to the United States. And I knew right there, I knew it was something to not be trusted. And I never believed it from day one. And then we had the election and the censorship, just crazy. And I just decided we have got to do something to combat this. And I just decided, my idea was small. I thought I put on events before, a couple speakers, invite some people, but I just had this idea of more and more and more. And then I had this number in my head. And so I went out and found a venue, and we've just put this event together, and it's going to be so good. It is going to be so inspiring, so empowering. We want people to come ready to take notes and to ask questions and to go home with action items so that, and you said at the very beginning, it's at the local level. General Flynn says it's at the local level. I didn't understand that when I was getting my master's degree. I did not understand that. When I was getting my bachelor's degree, I had this idea that I was going to go to Washington, D.C. and expose all of the evil that was in Washington, D.C. I never did end up doing that, but I went on to get my master's because I thought the action was in Washington, D.C. But as I was getting my master's degree, I had a total paradigm shift, and I began to understand that the keystone to preserving freedom is at the local level. And so that's what we want people to understand, is that they do have the power. No one is coming to save you. You are only going to save yourself. And as we individually stand up for our rights, we collectively win back our freedom. And that's what this is all about. And one last thing about it, I believe that bringing through a grassroots effort, all of these people together sends a very clear message to the established politicians, to the deep state, to say, we are awake, you cannot fool us anymore, and we are coming for you.
And I'll add to that, because this is what kind of kicked me over the edge to want to be a part of your event, was that you're not only everything that you just said, plus we're together, right? Isolation is what they have been trying to do, right? I mean, in any abusive relationship, the first thing that they do is isolate you from those that you know, right? They isolate you from information. They isolate you from your family. They isolate you so that you feel like you're on an island all by yourself. Your event is incredibly important for people that are fighting the fights I'm watching, right? A lot of people in Misfit Nation are fighting these fights on a local level, and you watch Lee Dundas go in and just, hammer some of these school board meetings, and
love
watch Lee in Idaho, and they feel like they're alone. And we're just here to say, and your event is here to say, you're not alone. Come hang out with other people that are like-minded, right? I've done a bunch of Patriot events coast to coast. And one of the things that I've noticed very clearly is that the people that are coming out are exactly like you described them. They want to just be left alone. They're not, they don't go march in streets, and they don't go burn things down, and they don't go rob stores, and they don't go do all of these stupid things that you see out there that were peaceful, right? What they do is they come together around election, and they say, which side should I vote for? And then they go back to living their lives. Well, these people are pissed off, that from coast to coast, right? And they're coming out and they're saying, you know what, we're going to fight a fight, and then we'll go back, right? We're going to fight for this retention of liberty and freedom, and then we'll go back to our lives. But it's common, and your event gives us all an opportunity to come around, and be around each other, so that we can light each other's fires, so that we can know that we're not alone.
Right. This is all about First Amendment rights. Our founders were very wise when they made part of our First Amendment rights the freedom of assembly. They knew how important that was. And you're totally right that the enemy understands that when we are isolated, we're weak, we feel powerless, and that's how they want us to feel. And the ability to assemble and join together and be with others, it just empower. It's like powering you up. It's like charging you, like your cell phone, you charging your cell phone. It's getting you ready for the next fight you have to fight, and just filling you full of ideas and things that you really can do, and go home and wake up people around you.
Yeah, in what I would say is a bloodless, peaceful revolution, right? That's what's happening right now.
Absolutely.
The people who aren't storming buildings, and they're not doing all those things that we mentioned before. We are storming our institutions and saying, okay, we trusted you, right? We trusted you, and now we don't anymore. So you need to be replaced by these other people. And by the way, like you said earlier in the interview, you said, we're going to keep our eye on you, right? We're going to keep our eye on you. And if you get enticed by those things, Look, I know I was a poor kid from nowhere, domestic violence. My adopted father went to prison for trying to murder me when I was 17, and I understand that lifestyle, but I was able to turn that around by mentors and people like you standing up and giving opportunities like this for people like me to learn from that and to be able to surround myself. Proximity is a major indicator as to how you're going to think, how you're going to behave, and the success you're either going to have or not have. And putting yourself in proximity to other freedom fighters will embolden you. I'm coming to light the stage on fire like I do everywhere else, but I'm also coming to be lit on fire myself by the inspiration for people traveling. I know already people that I've sent out the invite to are coming from other countries, right? Expats that are coming from other countries to come in and band together, brothers and sisters, arm in arm, to say, you know what? We're taking our country back, and we're doing it with the construct of a bloodless revolution, the construct of the rule of law that our founding fathers and mothers set up for us to follow, right?
Absolutely. I just can't say how important it is, and just super exciting, and Salt Lake City is a beautiful place. And we have prepared this 2-day event to be just full of information. We're going to have booths there where people can walk through and peruse the booths that are there and purchase things. Or, I mean, if you want a booth, you're welcome to have a booth. You can purchase a booth on the website, which is wecanact.net. That's where you can get all the information you need about the event and everything, and, get in contact with us if you feel like you have a question. But I do want to tell you a few other things. We have a special that's going on right now for the Constitution, and it's $139. But I actually created a promo code for your listeners of Misfit, and and they can get an additional $10 off. Now that is going to be available until Sunday at midnight. The promo code will still be available, but the Constitution Day special will end on Sunday at midnight. But I want to tell you something else that comes with that ticket, that we're going to include a boxed lunch for dinner. It's more of a dinner for each day. And we also have one of our sponsors called Front Sight. They're a gun training resort near Las Vegas, out in the desert in Nevada. And they have offered a free 4-day handgun course, at their training facility. That is absolutely amazing. And it's a $2,000 value. I've been out to Front Sight, I think 4 or 5 times. I'm planning on going out again after this event. And it's a really awesome and fun place to go. So that's just another huge incentive that just makes the value of this ticket so valuable. Yeah. So not only do you have a great event to go to, you have something to do afterwards also. So
it's practical. It's a practical application.
Yes, it is. Way.
Absolutely. Everybody should know and understand how to utilize this thing called the Second Amendment that we hold here. So that's fantastic. So the code is Misfit, and they're going to go to wecanact.net. Wecanact.net. And put it in the code Misfit, and you will get a $10 off of that. And I know people in Misfit Nation, they love the discount, but they love the opportunity for all of us to come together. Now, I'll put a finishing touch on this. I want to honor your time, but this event is happening on my birthday, literally. and my girlfriend has put together this amazing party, and Misfit, there's a whole bunch of you that have already gotten invites to come and be there. But I'm going to be there. I'm going to literally fly from this event to my birthday because it's so important. I'm actually flying back from there, doing the event, and then going back. But it's that important, y'all, that we come together around this idea that we fill her event from top to bottom and really make a dent in the universe so that people understand we're serious about our freedoms. That we are going to go back, we're going to sacrifice, we're going to get to an event, we're going to be around each other. You get to, listen to people like General Flynn, You get to listen to me, you get to listen to Lee Dundas, you get to listen to the amazing lineup of people. Just go to the site, right? Go to the site and you'll see the people that are there. These are amazing patriots that are putting it all on the line, that are sacrificing their own wealth and reputation and safety, by the way, to be able to be out there spreading this message.
Right. Let me just also add a couple of things. So we have some of the subjects that we're going to be talking about are election fraud. We're going to have Senator Sonny Borelli and Senator Wendy Rogers from Arizona that's going to be talking about the forensic audit and other people. Seth Keshel, we're still hoping to get Mike Lindell and Patrick Byrne, who will be speaking to us, and we're very hopeful that they will be there. We're going to be talking about human trafficking, broken Hollywood, crisis at the border, critical race theory. And we're also going to have some profiles in courage, where people who have really stood up and made a difference to inspire us as we go home back to our communities so that we can do the same thing. And even more than that, it's just going to be amazingly fun.
Here's a little piece of trivia for you that you'll love. Seth Keshel and I met in a airport, right? And just got to be friends. And he was telling me all about, this was way back, right around the time of the election, right? And we had the conversation about what was going on, what he was doing, what I was doing. And I had him come on the show after the election, and he, for the very first time, dissected all of the information that he's now out there spreading. He got launched on the Bald Avenger show, right? Him and I are very dear friends. And he actually was the one that facilitated General Flynn coming on my show. So he worked under him in the military. Wow. I'm glad Seth is coming. I was going to suggest him to you anyway. So that's great. Yes. Yeah, his information is very critical. And, that recount, everything that you mentioned, all of those subjects matter to us right now.
Right.
And that's how they're forcing this subjugation of the citizenry, is through all of those things, right? We just watched it happen in California again.
Oh, I know. It's just sickening. So I got to turn my light on. It's getting dark. Yeah. When I started, it was daylight. Anyway,
I think I told you 25 minutes, but we're
anyway, we do have one other thing I want to say, that one other story that we're going to be actually exposing, because the media will not touch it. And it's a story of biochemical warfare that's being perpetuated. It started, well, I don't know if it started in Utah, but it's been in Utah, and it's actually, we have documents to prove that it's happened in multiple cities across the nation. The media won't touch it. It implicates politicians at the local level, at the national level, hospitals, universities. It's going to be explosive.
Well, everybody better be there. That's all I've got to say. So give us any closing parts. Again, I'm extraordinarily proud of you. And I'm honored that you invited me to come and share the stage with such luminaries and such powerful freedom fighters. I'm going to bring my A game, as I always do. But thank you for putting this together. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life. You're no different than the rest of us, with a busy life and a huge family, right? You got 2 basketball teams.
Yeah, my daughter got married last week too.
Oh, there you go. So you've got all this going on, and you're putting your heart and soul into this, and it's not for profit. It's for the expansion and for the retention of liberty for the rest of us. So on behalf of Misfit Nation, I thank you for the effort and the energy. What kind of thoughts do you want to leave us with before everybody jumps on your site and grabs their tickets to come?
Well, I just want to really stress that there's no reason. I don't want this to be an event where people feel like they're going to come and just be filled with bad news. That's not what this is going to be about. This is going to be about patriotism. When I was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th.
Me too.
And man, too bad we didn't rub shoulders. Yes. But I maybe you'll agree with me. I have never felt patriotism as thick as I did that day.
It was unbelievable. Like it was such a feeling of, this is our country. Like everybody wants to, and that's why that's what got, me interviewed by some 3-letter agencies, right? Was because of the videos I did. I'm like, whatever you guys are listening to, look at this, right? blacks for Trump and Chinese for Trump and gays for Trump and women for
Right.
Trump, and and all of these different people loving on each other all damn day. It was
Yeah.
incredible.
Oh, it was such an amazing feeling. And I could talk to you about that for a while too. But I want to recreate that feeling, that feeling of patriotism, of just people loving their country so much and just wanting information and just willing to do whatever it takes to stand up and take back their liberty. And that's what this is really about. This is just about reaching out to God and saying, God, we know you're there. We need you. We're willing to do whatever you want us to do. And through our efforts and God's hand, we really can take back our liberty. And that's what I really want this to be about.
I love it. I love it. And that's what Misfit Nation's all about. I certainly, God is at the center of everything that we do, the center of the rescues that we do of these kids and the domestic violence fights that we have, and feeding people, and this fight for liberty. Like, it's the most important thing that we can do for our generation. This is our fight. And we have to stand up. And the only way that we can do that is by coming together. So, break out your credit card, go to wecanact.net, get your ticket, come give me a hug, and, represent for Misfit Nation in a big way. And let's help Tina really make this a successful event. And let's leave a mark. Let's make a dent in the universe and let everybody know, hey, we're together. We're together and you are not alone.
Absolutely. We would just love to have everyone come and join us. And please, please do.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being with us. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing. You have my full support. We're going to push hard to help you fill this thing up. And just for everybody else, we will be back here again on Sunday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you again to Misfit Nation for your continued loyalty, fighting the fights that you are. Really appreciate you. Again, thank you for nourish.me. Misfit25 is your code if you want to go there and get their products. And Anton, ANTONJAE.com for all of you small businesses that are fighting the fight and want to retain your independent access to capital. I am Jason Sisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, signing off. We'll see you next time. Love you very much.